in the top 20 now.
Yeah.
And my top 20 starts with Finn Balor. I feel like this is another instance where NXT really helped him push him up for me. His NXT run was crazy. He's like technically made probably the most successful NXT champion, I think, still. And
Debatable.
hey, that man's held in 2 different runs, Robert. Anyway, I feel like he had some of the best matches down there. That was like back then. The demon gimmick was like so cool. And, like when he came out with the chainsaws, like one of the coolest entrances. Then you got to talk about his New Japan stuff. You know, being the creator of the Bullet Club, and like that's still going today, even though he's not part of it, which is like crazy. Then, like you said, the Judgment Day stuff is like some of the best stuff of his career. I liked his IC title run. It's a shame he hasn't got another world title. Crossing my fingers for this weekend. But yeah, I feel like Finn's just like over, the last decade in multiple promotions, he's been one of the top guys. So I had to put him top 20. And the first time I seen the coup de grace, man, I was like, dude, that was fucking awesome.
That's fair. I can't refute any of that.
I kind of wish, or Finn was like the very start of like peak NXT. Like him, Joe, and Shinsuke had like just barely missed NXT getting to its peak.
Right.
I think Finn was like the start of it. He's what really kind of started NXT hitting that stride. But that was before NXT was really as good as it was. If he was there at it, and then he came back on its downslope heading towards 2.0. So that's why I said it's debatable whether he's the best NXT, or however you phrased it.
Well, I said most successful. I didn't say best.
Yeah. But I think because he kind of missed that middle part where it was like the best wrestling show. Kind of hinders it. And I also liked it better when he was the demon on NXT. It wasn't a separate gimmick. It was just a look. I don't like how on main roster it's like a totally different supernatural wrestler.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Alrighty.
Yep.
So and he did 19. All this while being named Fergal. Sorry.
Number 19 is my last before the rules were told one. I got the New Day. I mean, they took something that had no traction at first and made it into, my opinion, the greatest tag team ever. I just feel like...
Is it a tag team, though?
They call it that. So.
It's tags people. Go ahead.
My favorite entity of them was that like original heel run. Man, they were so funny. But even as faces, they were still so funny. Matches are always good with anybody, especially like the Usos and then like the Bar and just some of the like most classic, probably best tag team matches we've seen maybe ever, but definitely in like decades. And individually, they could all carry themselves in different ways, but I feel like when they came together, they just, not only as a team, blossomed, but that also helped them all blossom individually. Cause that like gave Xavier Woods up, down, down, and Kofi and Big E had their title runs, and I just feel like they're definitely the best team ever.
I still remember that time they came in and like wrecked the Dudley, Cena, and like 2 other people and just left them all laying. That was so crazy.
That was crazy. I'm pretty sure you were at my house when we watched that Raw too. We were like, probably. Dude, they just wrecked everybody.
It was like right when the Dudleys came back too, so it was like, dang, man. Already whooping the Dudleys?
I feel like that's when we knew, like, man, New Day's about to be for real.
Yeah. Anything, Robert?
Nope. New Day has been a very solid team. I think they're one of the longest, or one of the few teams that have never broken up, and after being together as long as they have.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think they're ever gonna break up.
Yeah, I think it's a little late.
You don't see Big E hitting the big ending on both of them?
That would be a crazy swerve for his return, I will admit. But... All right. Number 18. I think this is my only guy from this era, but I got Macho Man. I feel like, people say what they want about Hogan, say what they want about Rick. Macho Man was the best of that era, man. His promos were like ahead of their time. His in-ring work was ahead of its time. I feel like he's one of the rare guys from back then that could like make it in the company today. He's just, and you want to talk about like cool, man? No one was cooler than Macho Man. His freaking outfits were awesome. He didn't care about like people called him back then gay. They'd call him like homophobic slurs and stuff. But
that did not go the way I thought it was going.
I mean, because he come out in like all pink, like freaking, what is it called? That shit that comes off the side of your pants and stuff.
Like, starts with a T, right? Like talids or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. You know what I'm talking about. And pink cowboy hat and stuff like that. It's like,
was it?
Tassels?
Tassels, yeah.
Tassels, yeah. It was like, who else could pull that off back then besides Macho Man? Like, he was just so cool no matter what he was wearing. That voice is just iconic. And I feel like he was putting on the best matches of anybody out there back then. So he had to be in my top 20.
So kind of like how you were with a couple of my guys. Just didn't click for me. I don't know why. I like Macho Man. Yeah. From the 80s. Yeah. From the 80s. He's probably second to Mr. Perfect for me in the WWE. But I don't know. Like, it's the song and the...
Oh, man, no way. That song fit him so perfect.
I don't know, man. He did look cool. He does look the coolest from that era, especially with them glasses. But what are you trying to say, man? You trying to say people called Velveteen Dream gay because of how he dressed?
Dude, literally, there's... I was going to say, there's like debates online all the time about if he was gay or not.
That was like his character was being a gender fluid, pansexual, whatever.
Man, talk about what ifs, though, man. He had that dude had Cena talking about wrestling him and stuff.
I know, right? Man. But, yeah, I don't have a problem with Macho Man being this high for you.
Cool.
I'm actually a little surprised not a tad bit higher, honestly.
Yeah.
You got a shirt of his.
It was getting tough around this time. I mean, to be fair, I got that shirt as a present. Not to say I don't like it, but,
All right.
Macho Man's cool to me. I think I'm more in the same boat with Jordan, where it just never really clicked for me. I feel like his look and his voice are more what I kind of remember him for than anything.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I just feel like it. Even if you just watch some of his old promos on like YouTube, man, that dude was cutting like good promos back then.
That's kind of what I mean by like his voice and like the way he talks and his promos are kind of what makes him stand out more than like, even though I didn't watch him, there are some things from him that I would recognize. I still don't know if I would put him very high on my list, but
fair enough.
His hatred for Hulk Hogan almost makes me reconsider putting him on my list.
So is the Iron Sheik on your list?
Nah, Iron Sheik never dropped any bars on Hulk Hogan.
Dude, that man, you should see his tweets.
No, I know he hated him.
Oh,
but
I get what you're saying.
Macho like Man dropped some bars, bro.
Well, what show was he on? I can't think of the guy's name.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Are you talking about Macho Man or Iron Sheik?
Sheik.
He was on a show.
Howard Stern?
Yeah, Howard Stern.
He was on Howard Stern.
Crazy. Yeah, dude, Iron Sheik was on. He tore into Hulk Hogan a lot.
Yeah.
On the Howard Stern show. Like, there was a guy that would like pretend to be Hulk Hogan, and Sheik would just lose his mind.
That's funny.
All right, 17. I know how you guys feel about him.
I already know who it is.
I got CM Punk.
Oh,
CM Punk 17.
Blasphemy.
I don't know who you were thinking it was, but he would be higher if it wasn't for all the like. He is kind of like a prima donna, and like he does like want way more than he should. But I really liked him before even the pipe bomb stuff, like ECW CM Punk. I was like, man, this guy's so cool. Then when he cashed in the first 2 times, I was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, CM Punk's so cool. But once again, one of the reasons I got back into wrestling was CM Punk. I was like seeing all the stuff and hearing about it, and I was like, man, I gotta check this out. So I have to credit him with getting me back into wrestling. He wouldn't be as high if I never stopped watching, so I wouldn't have to get back into it. But just some of the promos he was cutting during that time, and then like you said, the Money in the Bank match, and then the Undertaker match, and I just feel like he has done. He's a bigger figure in wrestling than a lot of people want to admit.
So, I don't have a problem with him being at 17. My problem is him being 17 slots ahead of Seth Rollins also. I don't get it.
Seth Rollins, I like Seth Rollins, but he's never like had that impact on me that I'm like, man, I like need to watch this Seth Rollins thing.
I guess.
And like I said, I might have different feelings if like I was still watching wrestling consistently and that CM Punk stuff happened. But the fact that that was like one of the biggest reasons that I like drew me back into wrestling, it just has a bigger impact.
It's a fair argument. Just for me though, for me, myself.
I feel you.
I think a lot of the things you said about CM Punk are very common things that people have said, and it's part of why I don't. Not saying that it's.
He just called you a casual, bro.
No, like I don't know how many times I've heard people say like, "Oh, the CM Punk's what got me back into wrestling," and the pipe
I didn't
bomb.
say he's not like the one single thing. It was like I said, it was like Daniel Bryan's push and just like the network coming out. And
yeah, all that I know what you mean, but there's a lot of people's opinions is like CM Punk and the pipe bomb and all this kind of stuff. I think that's my problem with it is. His biggest thing is being anti-WWE and going against the company that gave him the big platform to begin with, and then that's the only thing he's pretty much been riding on since is being anti-WWE.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like I also feel like I'd have different feelings if I wasn't a fan of him before, because like I liked him in ECW and I liked him during the SmackDown run. And like the Jeff Hardy feud and the Undertaker feud, like the first Undertaker feud. So I feel like that definitely pushed him over for me.
I can't help but think you weren't more comfortable putting him at 17 with camera not on the line here.
With who?
Putting CM Punk at 17 with Cameron not on the line here to watch you do that.
What do you mean?
Because he's always talking about how he got whooped in UFC. It's like poison on judging.
I'll admit he got whooped in UFC. I mean, it don't matter.
But it almost seems like Cameron hates him for even stepping in the octagon.
Yeah. All right, 16. I kind of wanted to put this guy higher, but then I feel like I put him at a good spot. I got Batista 16. Batista was, man, he was like so cool back then. Like when he turned on Evolution, I know that's like a big moment for everybody. But man, I remember watching that as a kid, and I was like cheering, like in my living room. I was like, yeah. Like, that was like so cool. That build up, that's still like top 3 best like build ups for like a faction breaking apart. I feel like in like a Mania match, like it was just so perfect. And him like hiding behind being behind the door and hearing Triple H talking shit about him. I was like, man. And then
wait, was your stomach in your throat when he gave Triple H the thumbs up? In the beginning?
A little bit, yeah. I was like,
no.
No way. Yeah. And then when he like, man, that thumbs down, that's iconic. But, and then like, when they drafted him to SmackDown, so SmackDown has like such a important place for me because like there was a long time I didn't have cable. So like SmackDown was like the only thing to watch. And Batista was like running SmackDown for a while there. And then like the tag team, when he tag teamed with Guerrero, and then even when he turned heel on Ray, and Man, Batista he was so good, and it was sad the way that they made him leave when he was like against the PG era. But I'm glad he kind of came back and rectified it, even though the Rumble mishap and stuff. It ended up being fine. So Batista's definitely like it was a short run, but I feel like he had a huge impact.
I cannot refute any of that, man. I don't want to say much, but yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, that's really fair. I think Batista for me was like you said about Bobby Lashley. Like he was just seemed like the guy at the time. Like he didn't need to say much. He didn't need to. He was just in the ring and had the physique and looked like he would beat anybody up. And I just wish he had a longer run. He could have been a top one in WWE too, I think, if he stuck around for more consecutive years.
I'll throw this in.
Will say.
Oh, sorry.
What?
I'll say Batista, now that I think about it, almost made the reason why Bobby Lashley couldn't be on the same show as Batista, Batista was like the better version, and you don't want them on the same show.
Yeah. Well, because I feel like as his career went on, Batista learned, like, his promos started to become a lot better.
Yeah.
And then also, I know it's not really wrestling, but I will say as an overall actor, I think he's the best wrestling actor.
I mean,
because he's done
it's hard to
drama
fight that.
really good.
Yeah.
He's done drama, horror, comedy, like big superhero movie, and he like killed all of them. So, yeah.
Very fair.
Yeah.
All right. 15. You'll have him higher. I already know. I got Chris Jericho here.
What are you implying there? What are you?
But Chris Jericho is one of the best ever. He's like hilarious, and the way he's been able to reinvent so many different versions of himself is cool. He probably has the most like returns of anybody. And they were all cool though, so it's like he can keep doing it. I will say, especially rewatching it, his first world title being like the first undisputed champ with the double titles. God, that title run sucked, man. I get it wasn't his fault. Like, they gave him, like, Triple H's return. That's, like, what it was all about. And then, like, he took a back seat to, like, Stephanie. And then even at Mania, he had to take a back seat to Rock and Hogan. So it just kind of sucked. He got, like, yeah, it's a cool distinction to be the first, like, double undisputed champion. But it's also, like, no one remembers the run. But after that, I feel like is when he really, like, 2003 to, like, 2005 is, like, my favorite Jericho. Like, he was so funny, and he was, like, such a dastardly heel. And I remember, like, the feud with John Cena that ended, like, when he got fired, but he was just, like, taking time off to go do shit with Fozzy and whatever. And then when he came back, and he was the suit, short-haired Jericho. Yeah, he's just...
Code breaker.
Yeah, he's just the master of, like, reinvention. And even in A&W, every time you're like, oh man, Jericho sucks now. Like, he needs to call it up. He reinvents himself again, and you're like, all right, this is kind of good. So he's still doing it now, and he's like 50-something years old. So that man, he definitely deserves all the credit he can get. There's just like so many good wrestlers that you could put him anywhere in the top 15, and I wouldn't be mad at it.
Jericho's a honorable mention for me. Well, I'll get to him when we get there.
Fair enough.
I think I have to disagree with you on the AEW stuff. Apart from the La Champion very beginning, I haven't really liked anything after that with Jericho.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think a little bit for me, kind of like Jeff, his AEW stuff has kind of tarnished my view of him. And I would probably knock him down a few spots just because he's not as great in the ring as he once was. I feel like he's just...
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
His matches haven't been great. It's kind of like watching The Undertaker do a match now. It's not...
Oh, God. Please don't say that.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad, but it's getting close. Like, for a while, he was so out of shape that... he was so out of shape for a while. It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
he's had a couple times where he's barely landed the moonsault, the line salt. He's been rough in the ring, and he's trying to be like hip and modern, and a lot of times it's just not hitting.
I will say right now, like at this moment, his character is not good, and it's definitely souring on me. But I feel like he's had a few AEW things that I'm like, oh, okay, he's still Chris Jericho, at least to some extent. Like, I feel like that Eddie Kingston match was pretty good, but...
He definitely has his moments, but I think for the most part, like, anything he does starts out good, like, and then it diminishes really fast.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
AEW's been around for 4 years, and he's been the leader of 2 different groups the entire 4 years. And both those groups have been pretty much filled with nobodies underneath.
Hey, Sammy Guevara is the future.
Yeah, his 2 right-hand men are Sammy Guevara and Jack Hager.
Yeah. We the people.
Yeah.
We the people.
Alright. We got next.
Didn't Jericho make a joke about that wasn't over then, still not over now or something?
Yeah, he said...
It was over.
The crowd was chanting it, and he was like, hey, it wasn't over then, it's not over now. It was stupid. It was a stupid gimmick from bad creative, and all that's over.
But we remember it, huh? What is he talking about?
Yep.
Yeah. And now everybody's like, I mean, most people that can radically judge AEW and WWE and aren't like super fans, they can admit that the booking in AEW is not great.
Oh yeah.
All right. Next, what was this?
14.
Oh, this is 14. This is where I put Jeff. As a kid, definitely held a special
I feel
place.
like I missed one because I thought we were at 15.
Jericho was 15.
Oh.
Yeah.
Batista 16, Punk 17, Macho
Oh,
Man
Batista.
18.
That's right. I forgot about Batista.
But yeah, like I said, rewatching, the Hardy Boys aren't as cool as I remember. Like, they botched a lot, and their promos were awful. Like, their acting skills were just not it. But then they'd get in the ring and do some cool stuff, and you'd be like, oh yeah, they're cool. But then, like you said, their single runs in like the early 2000s to like 2007 and 8 really like lifted both of them up for me. Jeff's title run was like so cool to see. His feuds like CM Punk, Triple H, Randy were like some of the like best of his career. And then I also still did watch him in TNA, and he had good moments in TNA. Granted, that's probably when he was like, a lot of that was when he was at his worst, but he still had some cool moments and some cool feuds. And then his return, the Hardy Boys return at Mania was like really cool. I feel like I still think that that Randy and Jeff Hardy Hell in a Cell match from like 2017 or 2018, whatever it was like the best Mania match in a long time. But yeah, he's just got that cool factor to him.
Mania match or Hell in a Cell match?
Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, that was nasty with the screwdriver.
Yeah, and like that's like one of the rare times that they actually used the cell. Like he was like hanging from it, and Randy was like throwing him all over into it, and that was just like, it wasn't like the greatest match, but it was just the fact that they actually used the Hell in the Cell like it should be used.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with your points. You made me think of one of the promos he cut. He was like backstage, and they were like trying to interview him. And this is when you know they don't know what the heck to write for Jeff or what to do for Jeff. Because Jeff's like, man, I'm just like itching just standing around back here. And then he just takes off and like jumps over something. And he like yells. And I'm like, wow, what a promo that was.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's almost as bad as Kalisto being like, lucha stuff. And then walking
Dude,
off.
that's so weird that we thought about both of the same thing. I was thinking about that too. It's like, I'm just so excited, lucha stuff.
Yeah, but that's all I got.
Funny. It's really funny that you brought up about the Hardys botching a lot. It's because I think that's something that a lot of people don't remember. is they even now they still botch a lot.
Yeah.
And
especially like during their tag team matches. Like I feel like they botch way less in singles matches than they do as a tag team, which is weird because you'd think they'd have like such good chemistry.
More elements. Got to rely on somebody more.
So it's just those big moments that people remember them for that were so cool, and it's not like a match as a whole. So that's all I had to add.
Fair. Alrighty. Number 13. This is the one I've referred to earlier, where it was like, as a kid, he was like my favorite, and a lot of stuff recently dropped him quite a bit.
I'm gonna write it down already.
It's Goldberg. My favorite wrestler as a kid, you know, I was WCW through and through until they closed their doors, and God, Goldberg was just the man back then. Like, I get that, it was the, 3 moves of doom, and his match was like 30 seconds, but it was just so cool to watch at the time. And he did have, like I said, like the Halloween Havoc match, and he had some decent matches with, like, I feel like Kevin Nash couldn't get him to a good match, but then, like, Scott Hall could get him. Even his match with Hogan at the Georgia Dome, man. It was so dumb for them to give that away on free Nitro, but it was still one of the coolest moments ever. So, and then, even with his, like, WWE run being botched, like his first one, it was still, like, cool to see him there, and I feel like he did do some good stuff. And then the fact that me and Jordan were, like, there, we bought those tickets before we even knew he was coming. And then, like, the week before, we bought, like, almost front row tickets just for the fun of it, and then we ended up getting Goldberg's return. That was just, like, still, like, one of the coolest events I've ever been to, if not the best.
And Lita's return.
Oh, yeah.
I still don't remember that happening.
And when Jericho locked eyes with you when the joke was paying off. And then freaking Byron Saxton reading my Squidward sign. Yeah, that was just such a cool night. But yeah, Goldberg, he'll always have a place. Granted, he's overstayed his welcome, which kind of brought him way down in the Undertaker match. But he'll always be probably top 20. And I think he, like I said earlier, the Bret Hart stuff. It's a little too much blame on Goldberg. Okay, I get he kicked him for real on accident, but about botches happen. Bret should have treated it better. He should not have been wrestling right after that. That's all I'm saying about that.
I'll just in Bret's defense, Bret doesn't blame that kick entirely. He also blames Goldberg didn't grab his foot. So Bret fell straight back onto his head when he was trying to do the sharpshooter through the turnbuckle. And then he got kicked in the head. So he thinks he got concussed that first time and then got kicked in the head afterwards.
I guess.
From the genetic freak.
Bret's got a lot of CM Punk tendencies.
But I can't argue with your Goldberg pick. I know how special he is to you. So, like, I mean, Trish made it up here for my, like, bias towards her.
I feel like I got some good backup in the fact that he was also Randy Orton's favorite wrestler.
He stole his tattoo.
Alrighty. Anything, Robert? I know you're such a big Goldberg.
So I call him Goldberg because that was a typo I made when Jordan and I were doing our universe in the WWE game. So that's why I call him Goldberg.
So annoying, by the way. Just want to throw that in there.
Goldberg had a great look, and if only I kind of wish he would have. It seems like I don't want to say it. I don't know how much he actually cared about being in the wrestling business.
That's
because if he would have learned about more in-ring psychology kind of stuff to put on better matches, he could have been a top guy as well. So I don't know how much he actually cared for wrestling other than just being kind of in that showcase spot.
Right.
One more thing.
He did have a big impact and a long-lasting legacy that he has tarnished recently. And I think that's also part of WWE's fault by pushing him into the title picture and pushing the title onto him when he probably really didn't need it.
Yeah.
So
his first comeback, I think The Rock put him over pretty great. I think it's from there where it like didn't work. But
yeah,
the Goldberg thing when he first came back, I'm telling you, man, we take a time machine. I said right before the match started, watch, he's about to like. I was like, what if he just beats Brock in like 2 minutes or something like that, or like 40 seconds? I said it. Yeah. It's on record.
That was crazy. So I actually just realized that I kind of jumbled some of the numbers. Goldberg was actually supposed to be 12.
Darn.
I mean, it's not that big a deal, but honestly, like these two could just stay 12 and 13 because they're kind of hand in hand, kind of. Because I actually did what you made a joke about earlier. Because I cannot put any of them singly on my list. But I have the N.W.O here.
Are you serious?
Dude, it's just...
The main N.W.O?
Yeah, just because the effect they had in general, it was literally like they were their own entity fighting all of WCW. They were Goldberg's biggest foe, Sting's biggest foe, Diamond Dallas Page's biggest foe. So I just feel like their place in wrestling history has to have them pretty high, and like it was just so cool to be an N.W.O fan back then. Even though I was a kid and I wasn't an N.W.O fan, I could see everybody else being an N.W.O fan, and I just couldn't. I can't put Hogan on there. Like he would not make my top 100. But I will admit, Hollywood Hulk Hogan is a million times better than any other iteration of Hulk Hogan.
So wait, is this N.W.O without Hogan, or is this N.W.O like Hogan included?
It's the N.W.O.
All right.
All right. And so.
Hey, we didn't get to speak on it.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Great theme song.
Nice.
Cool effects on the screen when they were walking. They look like gangsta, as Shawn Michaels would put it. But that's all I have to say. Oh, yeah. One more thing. Sorry, Robert. One more thing. Booker T trying to sing the N.W.O song. Worst thing I ever heard in my life.
Look, that ain't me, bro. I got to feel what I'm doing, man. I got bass, I got to feel. Now, can you dig it, sucker?
I don't watch WCW, so
I thought that's all you were
really mean a whole lot to me.
Fair. Like I said, I kind of knew that going into this list that WCW things were going to be pretty much just for me.
I put Booker on mine.
Yeah, and like you saw, I got all that N.W.O stuff, and I think the thing I liked the most was the Macho shirt.
Dude, that thing is tight, man. But all right, number 11. You had him a lot lower than I did. I got Mankind, Mick Foley at number 11. I just feel like, especially like rewatching, that dude was so underrated. Like, he was super funny. He had great promos. He's actually super good in the ring. Like, everyone only knows him for like his hardcore stuff, but like we were talking about Bray being a bigger guy and being able to go, Mick could go, and some of his moves are so cool. Like he had some of the best like little corner punches like in the corner, and he pretty much started that like side like when he runs and like hits them in the corner with like his thigh. Mick was just cool, and he was funny, and like you said, one of the nicest guys behind the camera, and I feel like he did way more. Like even Vince has said himself that Mick's one of the biggest reasons that WWE was able to win the Monday Night Wars. So I feel like Mick has to be top 20. I almost put him top 10.
I mean, literally almost put him top 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with all that. Like, literally, as long as Mankind's in your top 50, 30, I'm not going to complain, If you leave him out, that's where I'd be like, all right, come on, bro, man. Like, this man fell off a cage, dog. You can't put him in here. But
literally has maybe the greatest pop in, like, Raw history. Like,
No one's gonna make your star look like if Austin Theory had a Mankind right now. Everybody needs that guy.
yeah.
Yeah, Mick is great and he's super creative. He didn't like all of his gimmicks, even though I don't really remember being too fond of Dude Love. I think that was the lamest of the gimmicks.
Yeah, that's definitely his worst
Y'all
gimmick.
sound like haters to me. Y'all
But
jelly.
no matter what kind of character he was, it was unique, but not too far out there to where he like completely reinvented himself. And he's great in the ring. He understood how to put a great match together. His hardcore stuff kind of helps set him apart, and just all around a great wrestler.
Fair. All right.
All right, here we go, man. After we do mine, let's alternate, bro. Like you do your 10, I do mine.
Suggest that.
See, Robert's thinking, man. Producer right there.
All
right.
Wait, I'm gonna grab a drink real quick.
Wow. Talk about a cliffhanger. 20. Didn't make Christian's list. Made mine. Rob Van Dam.
I knew he'd be high on yours.
That's his jester right there. But RVD, man, I don't know. I just always thought he was cool. He looked different from everybody, especially back then, wearing the singlet and knee pad and stuff. He looked like he could give anybody a tough matchup at least. Like from the Big Show to Stone Cold. You maybe didn't always think he would win, but he was always interesting. One of the best theme songs of all time, in my opinion. Yeah. Can't cut the greatest promos, but he looks like he could whoop you. So that's how I'd go with.
Did you see him in AEW?
No, Robert was telling me about that, and I was like, I just get a little sad when I see RVD now because he's like, he looks like fat, and like back then he was like cut, bro.
Like don't get me
He looks
wrong,
like an old hippie uncle you'd see at a barbecue.
yeah, I'll admit, like his arms are still pretty buff, but yeah, he's got like a gut.
Picture Matt Riddle coming out like 20 years from now on a scooter and like having like thinning hair and it wouldn't work. But
it also seemed like he was struggling on his promo challenging Jack Perry on AEW when he was backstage with Renee. He was struggling with his words.
All right, 19. Maybe I just can't remember as well. I always like the guy. 19's very fair. I feel like sometimes we say guys' names and people just get upset over it. Triple H. I got it 19. He's great. He's built a lot of careers. But 19, man. Like, I can't say I was always rooting for Triple H. He was a great bad guy. I appreciate him. 19? That's where I got him. Anything, Robert? Anything to add to that?
Not at the moment.
18. You guys' heads are probably about to detach from your bodies. I like the guy.
You already did that with Liv Morgan.
18.
I don't think anything's going to be more surprising than that. But I could be wrong.
AJ Styles. I have it 18. He's great. Really good.
I get why he's not higher on yours.
He's never done anything where I was like, oh man, this is boring. I'm not interested. AJ's always interesting.
I thought you were going to say he's never done anything that great. I was like, no, okay, I'm logging now.
You don't make my top 20 if you don't do anything great.
Yeah.
Yeah, AJ, he's just, he's really great. I don't have anything bad to say about him. But
Fair.
he just doesn't have those hours logged in like some of the guys ahead of him for me yet. From my eyes. I didn't watch TNA.
Okay, his WWE run is as long as The Rock's.
All right. So give him some more time, and maybe he can pass The Rock.
Right.
17. I think this is fair.
Robert rebuttal.
You spoke for him. Go ahead.
I've got nothing at the moment to say on AJ.
17. Really great. I wish he's had a couple more main title runs. Maybe just title runs in general. I don't like his current character much. Kevin Owens. Really great. Always hilarious. Except for right now, where he's just screaming. But,
Yeah, I'm not... Have you seen the shirt that they're about to release? I'm
No.
not very big on it. It says, I don't have a yelling problem, I have a stupid people problem or something. I'm like, that's... what is this, friggin' like 2003?
They're just, like, kind of corny right now. I can see why they didn't put the title on Sammy, because, like, this right here, you know. You reach the mountaintop, and then, like, there's nothing to do from there. But, yeah, Kevin Owens pop-up powerbomb, too. Like, top 5 finishing move. But,
yeah, I'm mad that it took a side seat to the stunner, but...
I mean, that just says alone, that's how much respect Kevin Owens has. He's the only guy who's hit the stunner since Stone Cold. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Anything? Anything, guys?
There'll be more later.
Yeah.
16. This is how I would like to announce it.
Hey, I thought he'd be top 10.
I wanted to, but it's so long ago now, and he's not here to talk for himself. So I love Eddie, but 16 is where I can put him with him being gone for so long at this point, and like you said, documentaries help, and he's not here to do them. So like, don't get to see him as much off screen, but in the ring, I don't think you can be better in the ring than Eddie. You could just be as good. And the mullet, bro. The mullet is the coolest looking dude, man. Oh, man. I love Eddie, bro. Anything? 15. I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm living in the moment. But, big fan of this person, and that would be Asuka. I love Asuka, guys. The song, the appearance, the appeal, the mask. She's, in my opinion, like the greatest wrestler in the ring for females. I got her at 15.
I like Asuka a lot, but better than Eddie.
She's here, man. That's what I'm
Better
saying.
than AJ,
Yeah.
Triple H.
Yeah.
For me,
I mean,
it
I
all.
like Asuka a lot, and I think Bailey's a better wrestler.
As sexist as this might sound, the women are kind of on a curve for me. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like a different tier system kind
Yeah,
of.
because like when like the Triple H thing, maybe I would want to see Triple H promo over an Asuka match or something, but then I think about it where I'm like, in the women's class, I'd like much rather see Asuka than like Triple H with all these other great males as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's back to that Undertaker thing where I would say he'd be like a top 5 pick. Like Asuka would be one of my top 10 picks just because I need good women also.
Yeah, I get you.
Anything, guys, before I move on?
I said what I gotta say.
14.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's gonna sound blasphemous when I say this. Super underrated. Brock Lesnar, bro. Like you were saying earlier, Brock selling is top tier.
Yeah, I tell everybody he's the most underrated seller like ever.
Nobody makes you look tougher than when you're beating up Brock. When Brock, like Samoa Joe, when Samoa Joe put the fear in Brock's eyes and stuff, like that's crazy. Or when he put Drew over with all the Claymore kicks. You beat. I mean, sometimes it doesn't look great. Like, it's hard for Brock to sell to like Seth because it just doesn't look right, very great every time. But when Brock's in there with like another like somewhat big guy, Brock looks like he's getting destroyed, bro. Like that's how much Brock.
I mean,
sells.
I thought he sold pretty well for Seth.
He did. It just doesn't like optically look as like devastating.
Say something stupid.
You know?
Well, see, and I also think he's really good at playing like shocked hurt, like when like Dan O'Brien hit the knees, like he was like shocked and like stumbling, and he sells that really well too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Or freaking oh man, what move was it?
while you're
he
thinking,
freaking Undertaker's choke slams. No one sells it better.
oh yeah, he gets
Nobody
up.
sells it better. Yeah,
Even old Taker.
And then when he lands, he like bounces again. Yeah, that's crazy.
And like you said, this current iteration of Brock is making me like him even more. Like mowing over the ring with the tractor, and like he's just cool, man. And then like 02 Kurt with, I mean 02
I don't
Brock
give a
with Kurt
about your kids.
He was that dude.
Oh
man.
yeah, yeah. Literally one of my favorite feuds ever.
Brock has gotten a lot more interesting since he's gone away from the whole Suplex City
Oh yeah,
stuff.
Yeah,
that's
and
the
I
low
think it
point
was
for
like,
Brock for me.
Like not only was it a good thing for Roman to have Paul, but I think it was good for Brock to get away from Paul.
Yeah, it ran its course,
Yeah.
and you could always come back to it at some point if you want.
Right.
Still I've never thought Brock's voice matches him though.
That's
Definitely
fair.
not. Especially when he like screams. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
All right, 13.
Uh-huh.
Did you have anything else, Robert, before I go?
No, I think pretty much everything's been said about Brock. He's good overall and underrated and underappreciated for a lot of things.
Yeah, underappreciated is a good word also. 13. You bite your lip when his music is playing. Shawn Michaels. Dude, as a kid, it always felt like he was about to lose or win. The kip up thing, like that was so nice. And like it was so special back then cuz Shawn was like the only Shawn. Now it feels like everybody's like an iteration of Shawn. And that's like what also kind of hurts him a little bit, but Shawn was hilarious. The Montreal screw job, like fake Bret Hart thing when they went back when he was feuding with Hogan. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
The
That's
crowd,
one of his best promos. Yeah.
the crowd wanted to string that man up. That's how pissed they were. His
Like, I got you just a little bit.
yeah. And then like when he went on like, what was it? Letterman? No,
It was
the old dude.
Larry King.
Yeah, when they were spoofing that, and he was Hulk Hogan,
Dude,
and he's
the brothers.
Shawn makes me laugh, man. The DX stuff I think is like cheesy, corny. That's like my least favorite Shawn stuff, but Shawn's good, man.
Yeah.
That's
I've
I feel like
never
that'd be an unpopular point of view.
DX being my least favorite version of Shawn.
Yeah, that could be a controversial pick.
I stand
see,
by it.
I will say, especially the second run of their DX, they were super cringy. They were
I actually like
guys
that
in
run
like
better.
Really?
Than
They were
the
guys
first
in like
one.
a midlife crisis. It seemed like.
It was funny.
I think that's what made it so funny was they were trying to relive their
that's true.
glory days and
And they had good feuds, dude. The Spirit Squad isn't great on like by itself, but with DX it was kind of working. And then Edge and Randy, you know.
and one of
I
my
will
favorite
say,
things
I
with
should-
Shawn from that time was when he going along the hallway super kicking everybody in sight.
Including Ty Dillinger.
my favorite memory of that like iteration of like DX and Shawn was when they triple threat main event at Mania against Cena, and as soon as the match started, he super kicked Triple H out
Oh
of the ring.
yeah.
Dude, that was so tight. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
It's not a good memory to have, but it's like right before DX. I think it's hilarious and very heelish, and why the Vince McMahon character is such a great heel. But when it was 2-on-2, Vince and Shane versus Shawn and God, and they had the light coming down, like. I mean, it's messed up, but it's hilarious to me. All right, 12. You're gonna go crazy. Cameron's gonna go crazy. Stone Cold Steve Austin, bro. Like,
12.
I love Stone Cold, but like, his time is short too, and I love Stone Cold, but I mean 12 is good. It's knocking on the door.
How is he not? I don't even want to hear who you got above him. Like, there's some guys that act like, yeah, it's cool if you have above him, but 11 other people?
It's my personal favorites, bro.
I get it. I get it.
He's great. If there was like an all-time draft, because I know how much people love him, he'd go 1. But
I'll get to when I get. I'll get to it. I don't want to say too much. But.
He's great, man. I just like these 11 better. There is a female on here who probably shouldn't be ahead of him, but I was like playing it fair by that curve thing I was talking about earlier. But
yeah, I don't know any woman you like more than Asuka, so I'm like interested to hear who it is.
There's one. Favorite Stone Cold memory? I don't have one because they're all really good, but he's great, man. I can't pull out one memory, but maybe when he like took down all of DX, like catching Billy Gunn in the bear trap and all that stuff was good. Jesus, I had like 5 chances to catch that highlighter and I couldn't grab it.
Hey, one more and then we're in the top 10.
Anything before I move on?
No, I'm kind of in the same boat with you with Stone Cold. I think he'd be probably around here, might be a little lower, as much as Christian would probably hate that.
All right. 11 and 10 could be switched. So when we do this vice versa thing, I'll just go again, because these two are pretty like intertwined for me.
Okay.
11. John Cena. John's great. He's really great. He put in the hours. He was the face. He held WWE afloat. I'll give him all that. But he got a little stale for me. It just like he was, he changed, and he didn't have to change much. He adapted, but it's just like, how much did he really change from when he got drafted to Raw to right now? It's.
Grew his hair out and started balding a little bit.
I guess.
I get what you're saying, but I also feel like he subtly changed more than you like realize, especially like around like 2014, 2015. He started cutting like really good promos. He always had good promos, but they were like he was like laying into people.
Yeah.
And then did like the US challenge and stuff.
That was great. And he's an underrated wrestler, I would say. People like act like he's awful, but he's a pretty good wrestler, and he makes you care. And he can sell matches with his mouth, which is like great. That sounds weird. He can sell matches, but yeah. So I got him 11, and you guys might be a little surprised. I got Batista at 10, and that's why I say they could be traded spots. But like, I think the movie career helped Batista jump John for me, because it was like a little bit extra, and I get to see him more. So like I know his character a little more, and he's making some banger movies. He's funny, but his wrestling stuff alone, like Evolution, was the bomb, man. John doesn't have like those moments with like a faction or something. He's kind of just always solo,
Okay.